The play begins with a prologue which briefly summarises the whole plot. There are two enemy families in Verona, Italy, and from those families, two people will fall in love and ultimately commit suicide. All of this will bring the two families together. In Act 1, Scene 1, we meet the two enemy families, the Capulets and the Montagues, and there's a fight in the streets. Benvolio, Romeo's cousin and friend, is portrayed as a peacemaker. Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, is presented as hot-headed and fiery. Prince Aeschylus, the ruler of the city and lawmaker, arrives, stating that the next person who starts such a fight between the families will be put to death as a consequence. After the fight, we meet Romeo, who's upset because the woman he adores, Rosaline, won't return his affections. In Act 1, Scene 2, Lord Capulet talks to Paris, an eligible bachelor who wants to marry Juliet. Lord Capulet tells him to take his mind off her until she's a bit older and to distract himself by looking at other women at the upcoming Capulet ball. In the same scene, Benvolio tells Romeo they should sneak into the Capulet ball and that he will soon forget Rosaline by looking at other beautiful women. Shakespeare here draws a parallel between Paris and Romeo, and there are lots of those which I explore in my character analysis video on Paris. We meet Juliet in Act 1, Scene 3, who has a closer relationship with her nurse than her mother. She's asked what she thinks about Paris and cautiously tells her mother she's willing to consider him. In Act 1, Scene 4, Mercutio is developed as a humorous character, but also one who's a bit hot-headed before the group go off to the ball. In Act 1, Scene 5, Romeo and Juliet meet and fall in love, then discover the other is from the enemy family. Tybalt spots that Romeo has sneaked into the party and vows to get his revenge. Act 2, Scene 1 begins with Romeo alone, having separated from his friends Mercutio and Benvolio. He climbs over the orchard wall and in Scene 2 spots Juliet at a window and praises her beauty, talking to himself. Unaware of Romeo's presence, Juliet speaks of her love for him. They discuss the danger of their situation and the sincerity of their feelings, ultimately agreeing to marry. In Act 2, Scene 3, Romeo visits Friar Lawrence, telling him he's in love with Juliet. The friar is surprised that Romeo wants to marry Juliet when he's only so recently been obsessed with Rosaline. In Act 2, Scene 4, the nurse finds Romeo, who tells her to let Juliet know that the secret wedding has been arranged for that very afternoon. After some playful joking in Act 2, Scene 5, Nurse tells Juliet the news, and Romeo and Juliet are secretly married by Friar Lawrence in Act 2, Scene 6. In Act 3, Scene 1, Tybalt is looking for Romeo, wanting revenge on him for sneaking into the ball. Mercutio insults Tybalt before Romeo arrives. Romeo doesn't want to fight with Tybalt, as unbeknownst to everyone else, they are now related through the marriage. Mercutio doesn't have this same love and fights Tybalt himself. Tybalt kills Mercutio, and now Romeo forgets his previous ideas of peace and kills Tybalt. Benvolio tells Romeo to disappear before Prince Aeschylus arrives. When the prince appears, he says that Romeo is banished. He's exiled from the city of Verona. In Act 3, Scene 2, Juliet learns about what has happened. In Act 3, Scene 3, Romeo is hiding at Friar Lawrence's and hears about his banishment, and he's devastated. The nurse arrives and tells Romeo that Juliet still loves him, and Romeo visits her one last time before leaving for the city of Mantua. In Act 3, Scene 4, Lord Capulet has changed his mind. He tells Paris that he can marry Juliet in a few days' time. In Act 3, Scene 5, Lady Capulet tells Juliet about the planned marriage to Paris, but Juliet refuses. Lord Capulet arrives and says that Juliet belongs to him and he can do what he wants with her. Either she marries Paris or he will disown her and throw her out of the family home. In Act 4, Scene 1, Juliet visits Friar Lawrence for advice, and he comes up with a plan. He will give Juliet a potion to drink which will make her appear to be dead, even though she's very much alive. Her body will be put in an open tomb, and when Juliet wakes up, Romeo will take her to Mantua, because Friar Lawrence would have sent a letter to Romeo explaining the plan. Juliet agrees. In Act 4, Scene 2, Juliet apologises to her father, who decides to push the wedding forward to the very next day. In Act 4, Scene 3, Juliet takes the potion, and in Act 4, Scene 4, Lord Capulet is organising the wedding. In Act 4, Scene 5, Nurse finds Juliet's supposedly dead body. Lord Capulet says the planned wedding party can now be changed to a funeral. In Act 5, Scene 1, Romeo's servant Balthazar arrives with the terrible news that Juliet has died. Romeo, having not received the friar's letter about the plan, buys some poison and heads off to Juliet's tomb. In Act 5, Scene 2, Friar Lawrence discovers his letter never got to Romeo because Friar John, who was going to deliver the letter, was held in quarantine due to a plague outbreak. In Act 5, Scene 3, Paris arrives at Juliet's tomb. Now, this isn't in either film version, so you might not be aware of this. He's gone there to take flowers, and Romeo arrives, and Paris thinks that Romeo's there to cause trouble. They fight, and Romeo kills Paris. Romeo finds Juliet, who of course appears to be dead, and drinks poison and kills himself. Juliet wakes up, realises what's happened, and kills herself. Lord Capulet and Lord Montague arrive and vow to end their long-standing feud. Now, this is just a very brief summary. I do have detailed analysis of every scene, and more recently I've added detailed character analysis videos, so do check those out if you haven't done so already, and please do subscribe to the channel.